Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. We proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. We just celebrated our 3rd year anniversary. So thank you to all of you who've been with us since the beginning, and welcome to those of you joining us now. We want to say hello to all of our friends at E360 TV. Thank you so much for taking this journey with us. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is A Woman's Prerogative. And we have a new tagline for this particular show in this time slot, which is Sisterhood Across Borders. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. So here I am in the States, and joining me is a very dear friend, someone who's also been here since the very beginning. She's in another world, in another country. She's in Australia, and she is somebody who really cares about helping other people. She is an ICF PCC certified coach. She's also a transformation and leadership coach. And her name is Mariska Dupria, and here she comes all the way from Australia. Welcome. Hello.
Hello, and it is always wonderful to be here on the show, and especially with you. We haven't been on a show for ages.
That's true. So for people who are new to our channel, Mariska and I did this particular show together, and then I stepped off to focus on producing and directing, and Caroline Heward stepped in, and now I'm back. So thank you again for being here for this journey. Mariska, tell us a little bit about the work that you do and how you help other people, and then we'll get into tonight's topic.
So the work that I do is I work with leaders or aspiring leaders stepping into leadership. So whether you are a specialist moving into leadership or moving up within your leadership career, that is where you might need some of my assistance and help. So I partner with leaders like you, and we work on bringing a little bit more humanness into your space. Now, typically, we have a tendency to be very task-focused and from time to time forget about the human element. Now, I don't know about you, but normally when I look around at a team, what I see most there is not things, but humans. And that is what we work with to ensure that you can get the best out of your team and utilize everybody's skills optimally. So that's what I normally do.
Thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant. And you're also one of our expert presenters here on Talking Heads. Tell our audience a little bit about that. They don't know what Talking Heads is. They don't know what you do there. Share a little if you would.
So Talking Heads is one of our other shows that you can also find on this platform. And I present once a month on Talking Heads around leadership specifically. So this can be anything from how to be a better leader to how to get the best out of your team and everything in between. So if there is any tips or tricks that you would like to learn a little bit more about and find out how to up your skill within that space, Talking Heads are the place to come and get all that wonderful information. And of course, I'm not the only one there. there's quite a few of us, so you might even find other interesting topics that you want to delve into.
Thank you so much, Mariska. And Talking Heads is our top of the leaderboard. There are people who, like Mariska, who are the top at their game. They have incredible experience and they come and present on their various topics. So let's get into today's topic on a woman's prerogative. And for those of you who've been with the channel for a while, we have 2 episodes of a woman's prerogative. The first episode was seen earlier today, and that was with Caroline Heward and Reverend Lydia Fugiris. And then the second one is happening right now. So you can find us here every Monday for me, every Tuesday for Mariska, because she is a day ahead of us, which is always makes me smile. So let's talk about sisterhood across borders. I want to combine it with the topic from the earlier episode today with Caroline and the Reverends, when they were talking about love and the internet and basically forming relationships across, I'm going to say borders, but really across the internet. And we're talking about something similar today as well, which is sisterhood across borders. So when I mention the word sisterhood to you, Mariska, what comes up?
Actually, a movie of traveling pants. So I don't know if you have ever watched the movie of Traveling Pants, and that to me was a sisterhood. So it's really around camaraderie, connection, collaboration, working together to help all of us to rise. And in this specific instance, well, if you are from the female persuasion, then that would be sisterhood. And it also reminds me a little bit about, well, my sister. And thinking about all the fun and sometimes less fun things that we did together, and how those relationships form, and how it's not only an external thing, it also forms us as human beings. So that's what's coming up for me when I think about sisterhood. And Dr. Jacalyn, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you so much. We do have a comment from Sherry Bennett. Hello, Sherry. Thank you for being here. Sherry writes, sisterhood saves lives. Sherry was a guest on one of our episodes with Julianne Mejia and Holistic Alternatives. So thank you for your comment. So Mariska, what comes up for me is when I think of sisterhood, I think of you actually, because you and I met, I want to say, is it 2019 or 2018? We both decided to take a life coaching certification course together. And at the time you were in New Zealand, and I think I was here in New Jersey, or I was in Florida, I was somewhere, but you and I actually connected over a computer. We took a course together, we became friends, and then you actually were my life coach, and you helped me leave corporate America. You helped me come up with 3 plans, A, B, and C, and the letter that I wrote to retire, give to my boss. So when I think of sisterhood, I think about that connection that you and I have. We have never met in person, and yet we've written books together. And we've done TV shows together. We've written a song together with Dr. Madeline Chan. I mean, it just goes to show you really can do a lot of things, even though you're not physically together. So that's one of the things that's coming up for me.
It's incredible how, and literally, I have never stood next to you. I haven't even given you a hug. It would be so good to give you a hug. We have never had that experience. And yet we've known each other for years. And I think our friendship, thanks to technology, was able to blossom. I even had the privilege to be at your birthday parties over COVID, as far as I remember.
Yes, you did. That's amazing. I know. So it just goes to show you, you can build relationships with someone. And in the earlier episode today, they were talking about whether or not the relationships can be as deep as a relationship if you're in person with someone. And what I want to share about that, and then I want to hear your thoughts. We have a number of team members who are in London, and I was very lucky and privileged that I got to go to London in November and actually give these people a hug, people that I've been on the screen with or who've been on our team for years. And it was interesting because it was almost like the icing on the cake, because the relationship's already there. it's already a deep connection. It's based on trust and mutual respect. So I think, you've been working with Caroline. She's in London. And do you think that your relationship there is a deep connection?
I do. And I have actually quite a few different places, different people in different places that I have physically never met. And to your point, Dr. Jacalyn, I think it is being able to meet the person in person is icing on the cake. I've had similar things in New Zealand. Now you might think, well, you are in New Zealand, why not meet the people in New Zealand? It is a weird, very long, narrow sort of country. So we do not always get together as often. And I have a volunteer group that I worked with there that we only met once a year. And at a stage, being a volunteer group, we do rotate from time to time. So you get new people in, you get other people leaving. So some of them you might have met in person, some of them you didn't. And I have to say, if we have this environment where we can get together, understand each other, that in-person meeting it becomes like sweet nectar and really appreciated, because then we also get to understand the person on even a different level. Because yes, I know that the people watching the show, literally it's flat, it's screen, right? You guys don't really know me or Dr. Jacalyn all that well. We hopefully illuminate some of that to some extent, and we get to know people in some way, shape or form. And if you do this often enough, like me and Dr. Jacalyn's been doing this often enough, you get to know each other really, really well, especially when you're working together so closely on so many different things.
It's so true. What I want to share about that, just from a broadcasting perspective, I have in my mind your website, Journey to the number 2 Discover. Things just resonate with me because over time, I've heard it so many times, time and time again. I know our team members who need glasses and they don't wear glasses when they're broadcasting, so they can't read the private chat. I know people who they have to get here 20 minutes early so they can set up and connect their destinations, and people are going to run in at the last minute. You just get to know human behavior. And I think that is really a beautiful thing. Something I want to segue to, and I know you and I have discussed this off camera, and now would be a good time to discuss on camera, I think, is when I was in corporate, I worked mostly with men for most of my career. I had a very long career in corporate. And I always felt like it was easier to chat with the men because women, and I'm making a generalization based on my own experience, but women were very catty and they wanted to stab you in the back anytime that they could. And I feel now, especially with our team, we all lift each other up. We are happy for each other. We truly feel happy when someone accomplishes something. And that's what I love, all the collaborations that we do here. So do you think that's isolated to certain groups or certain teams, or do you think it's changing in terms of what I personally experienced when I was in corporate? What's been your experience in terms of a true sisterhood with people really holding their hand out to give you a lift up?
Dr. Jacalyn, it's a very interesting question, because I also started my work journey in an environment that is mostly male dominated. So I think while studying, we were 4 females in all the classes that I had. And we dwindled as time went. I think we ended up with me and one other person that finished. And then ladies, the guys, of course, loads of them. And then work-wise, I remember starting off with one other female engineer that we worked together. She, of course, came from the Cape, so different environment altogether. And yes, there was a little bit of potential cattiness within that space from time to time. I could never quite understand why. And I've always gotten along really well with guys. So when I moved within the coaching space, that space has a lot more females in general within that space. And as well as with you, Dr. Jacalyn, I'm finding that these different areas are a lot more uplifting. And I am yet to put my finger on exactly what makes the difference, but there's definitely a difference. It feels like there's more of a collaborative energy within those spaces than a competition one. And where we have the competition one, typically that's where I have found the cattiness come in a little bit more, especially ladies and ladies in one area might not be ideal. So, and I have no idea in an area such as the textile industry, for instance, whether there might be more females in that space and how that works. So it would be great if there is anybody out there that is within an industry where you have more ladies within your space. How does that look like? Because honestly, from my own experience, other than the coaching space, which is really uplifting, and this space with you, Dr. Jacalyn, I don't. No idea.
Thank you for that. And we have a follow-up comment. Thank you, Sherry. Shall we celebrate our differences? Yes, absolutely. What a brilliant statement, question. I love it. And, you know, for this industry, for the television industry, what I found is has been primarily male dominated in terms of owning a network. And I know I shared this with you because you were coaching me through it at the time, but I was actually on an in-person television network, and I had my own show called Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, The Drive at 5. It was on the radio and it was also on television. And I was told by the owner that I could not be on the radio and be on the television because that was a conflict of interest. And I thought to myself, if I was a man, would you say that? And in having morphed into what it is today, because I picked the radio, and I'm glad I did, because as a result of the radio, then we started broadcasting on Facebook and on YouTube, and now we're on all these other platforms. So everything happens for a reason. But what I found is that I truly want to be the person who says, you know what, Mariska, why don't you be on as many platforms as you want to be on? And I do say that to people. You don't have to be just here. And when I see people are doing podcasts and they're out there on other platforms, I'm celebrating them. I love it because we need to get our message out as many places to as many people as we can. So there are my thoughts on that, just in my experience in the television industry. But you and I and our team, we are changing the dynamics so that people can get out there to as many platforms as they can.
And that is part of the brilliance of this platform, because we can have a space where we lift each other up. And absolutely, I think that's one of the main reasons why I've been sticking around. So good.
I love the loyalty. Thank you. We've got a couple of follow-ups from Sherry. I love your educational platform. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your expertise here. And our voices matter. Absolutely. Very true. Mariska, we are going to take a commercial break. We have a brand new sponsor. I'm very excited about this. And I'm just going to give a little bit of a background. They're actually changing the format of their videos. So tomorrow it's going to be in a different form. But as you know, Dr. Madeline Chan, you and I and Dr. Chan, we wrote a song together, Listening Lazies, and we wrote some children's books together. And Dr. Chan has a show called the Film and Music Show. So as per her show, she has people who are in the film and music industry, one of whom was Steve Kline, C-L-I-N-E. And Steve's one of our top loyal fans. Well, he's also a digital artist, and he has beautiful pieces. And so I have now purchased several of his pieces, and I just want to give people an opportunity to see his work because it's truly magnificent. So I'm going to take us off screen and bring on the promo. We'll be right back.
My name is Steve Kline, born Manchester, England, 1953. My quest in my lifetime is to create artwork from my soul and the deepness within my wildest dreams and fantasies. In 2012, my heart stopped when I was given too much anesthetic for a minor knee operation, and this near-death experience took me to another multidimensional world, an out-of-body experience, and I was given the gift of being blessed by an overwhelming, burning passion to become, for the very first time in my life, an artist with an eternal, passionate desire to bring my art, which I've named multidimensional, subliminal, freeform art, to the world, as only 3% recover from what I experienced, and now in my golden years want to release my cosmic, vital energy through my art to allow people to be a part of my cosmic dance.
Oh, I love StreamYard. It just threw me out. I'm in a panic. How am I going to get back onto the show? Anyway, that's Steve Klein. I'm going to put up the link to go and purchase his art. It is absolutely stunning. And basically how it works is he signs and numbers each piece, and then he sends it to you through a secure transfer. Then you go and have it printed out and you have it framed. And it's absolutely stunning, one-of-a-kind pieces. So thanks for being here. We're back on USA Global TV and Radio, a woman's prerogative, sisterhood across borders. Joining me is my sister from Australia. Welcome.
And I'm loving the artwork there.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm loving the artwork that you shared. It's beautiful.
Stunning. And they're actually getting framed, so they're not going to be ready for another week. But the talent that he has that came from, coming from a lowest place, when you have something happen to you, and the way he picked himself up. He was also homeless for a period of time. He lives in the Netherlands, and he's really been through a lot, and he's able to express himself through his art, which I have tremendous respect for. So it's an absolute honor and pleasure that I could purchase some of his art and that we can give him a platform here for people to get to know more about him. So Mariska, we talked earlier about what sisterhood means to you, and I shared what it means to me. And I'm wondering this also because sometimes you as a human being, as a person, you can feel close to someone who's not your relative. And like I just said, when I thought of sisterhood, I think of you because you really were there for me to help me figure out how to retire from corporate, because that was a huge part of my life. And let's not forget the paycheck. Let's not even forget that. So what else comes up for you when you think about somebody who is your sister, but they're not related to you?
I think we make connections in a variety of ways. And as you mentioned, sisterhood doesn't need to be blood relation. So, Dr. Jacalyn, thank you. You are also my sister. And I have other people that I have similar connections with, and we aren't family. So they're not a niece or nephew or a sister. I only physically have one other blood relation that I can call my sister. And we, of course, also marry into families where we might have other sisters that we may or may not like, depending on. But sisterhood, the way that I think about it, is also that community that we create, the people we surround ourselves with. And the wonderfulness of that is blood we cannot always choose, but sisterhood in this form, we can absolutely choose. And I love bringing people into my circle that I can support and I feel supported by. And that to me is really, really important. And I like having fun with them too. So being able to build those bonds in whatever shape or form that might take, online included, is some of the things that I have discovered I can do in a variety of different ways. And because of, thank you very much, lovely internet, we are able to do that these days, literally, as the title says, across borders and even oceans. So we can get even more people of the ones we want in our life. And we don't have to be limited by, well, wherever you were born or wherever it is that you live. You can get people from all over the place and get different perspectives. I think that's the piece I love the most, is the perspectives that I can get from different places. And now, speaking of perspectives, Dr. Jacalyn, I would love to hear yours.
Thank you so much, Mariska. I agree with everything that you said. I think something that is also coming up for me about sisterhood is when and how to share feedback to our fellow sisters, when we are asked for our opinion about something, and then also how to keep ourselves quiet when we're not asked for our opinion. And what I mean by this, you're an elevated listener. You know, I teach listening classes, but there are many times when people feel the need to just give their opinion when no one asks for the opinion. And yet there's times when you really care about someone. And this just happened today. I'm not going to say who it is, but someone told me they were getting ready to do something. And I actually have experience in the area of something they were going to do. And immediately my eyes flew open and I thought, oh my gosh, red flags, because of what my experience was. So how do you decide how and when you're going to give your input to someone you consider to be in the sisterhood, if they've asked for it or they haven't asked for it?
Dr. Jacalyn, that's always one of those areas where I think we need to consider the environment, the other human being, and how it will be received. So I'm taking the example that you just mentioned, if somebody tells me something and I'm sort of going, red flags, you need to be careful. It would feel like maybe I need to share this. And that was my experience. So they might have something different. It is also good to be able to make decisions from a place of knowing. So where I can learn from other people's mistakes, by all means, I would like to learn from other people's mistakes. And Dr. Jacalyn, as far as I remember going through our elevated listening training, permission would be number one. So whenever sharing, whether this is solicited or not, still asking permission. And then the other thing that I would take into consideration is not how I speak the message, but how this message will land with the other person. So my measure is not from my mouth, my measure is at the other person's ear. And ensuring that I package the message in such a way that it's palatable for them to at least consider it. I don't need them to take it on board. I don't need them to necessarily agree with me. The only thing that I need is potentially for them to consider it. And that might not even be a need. So a great way of doing that, and you might wonder how that works, but try it out, is using questions. So permission and questions might serve you really, really well within those circumstances. And I'm not sure, Dr. Jacalyn, is there anything else that we might add to this?
Well, you get to ring the bell on that one because you got it right. It's about asking permission. Mariska, I've had a similar experience. How would you feel about me sharing what happened with me in that experience? And by the way, I've used that, and I've had someone say to me, I really don't want to hear about your experience. And I said, thank you. Thank you so much for letting me know that, because I don't want to waste anyone's time. And sometimes people are not open and we can't take it personally. The other thing that's coming up for me, and by the way, we use these similar traits in becoming certified as coaches as well. So something else that comes up for me is how are we feeling emotionally when we're ready to deliver this information? So let's say you didn't have a lot of sleep, or maybe you had a lot of caffeine, and you know you're not your best self. You're a little bit off. You're ready to jump or pounce a little bit more than you normally would. Is that a great time to decide to give somebody feedback that isn't been asked for? They didn't ask you for any feedback. Should you give it to them when you're feeling like that anyway?
I would refrain. But that's me. It might not be that person.
I would agree with you, because part of the sisterhood, I think, is putting yourself in someone else's shoes and having respect for the fact that even though you feel something that you really want to share, that doesn't mean that the other person is ready, willing, and able to receive the information. And I'll give an example. Somebody was just telling me a story about their very close girlfriend, and it's one of these situations that we none of us really like to be in, but trying on clothes to go to some event. And so the person's trying on the clothes and the friend's sitting there, and she's saying, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? So she happens to say, well, I like the third one the best. Well, the person trying on the clothes liked the first one the best. So the observer said, well, I really like the third one. And the first one said, well, can you give me a reason why? And she said, because you look really fat in the first one. And when she was relaying this story to me, I thought, you look really fat. Is that something nice to say to anyone? I mean, is there anything positive that can come from that? So, of course, nothing positive came from it. And the person ended up wearing the third dress, and the whole time said, well, do I look fat in this? Am I fat? Do you think I'm fat? Am I really fat? So nothing positive came from it. And I said to the person relaying the story, what was coming up for you when you decided to treat your sister, your friend, by name calling, by calling a name of fat? And what she shared with me was that she was really in a bad mood, and somebody did something to her, and she just felt like sticking it to, like, giving somebody else the bad news that she was experiencing. So then she had to really reflect on it. And she said that was really selfish of me. And, of course, I don't label people. I'm not here to judge anyone. My thought process is to get people to think about their own behavior. So in the future, for anybody who's out there, if someone's relaying a story to you, whether they're your sister, it's a sisterhood, it's a stranger, they may just want someone to listen, because isn't that what we all want? Somebody to hear us. That doesn't mean they want you to fix it for them. That doesn't mean they want you to give them a solution, but yet we constantly jump to that. And going back to the sisterhood, and then we're going to go back to you, Mariska, is sometimes we feel so comfortable with someone that we let all the boundaries down and we forget about the implicit reality of treating the other person with respect.
Yep. Which is a very, very dangerous line to cross. Because I think that's one of the things that when we build trust, there's something that my dad used to constantly remind me of, is we build trust over time. And it might only take one thing to break all of that trust that you have built. And when I think about what you just mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, on being so comfortable with the person that I feel I can just say anything, that is the risk that we sit with. We might be breaking trust. We know all of these vulnerable, intimate things about this other human being that they chose to share with us. And in a moment of bad judgment, not getting the amount of caffeine or getting too much of it, or bumping our toe on a couch, we ruin all of that. So it is very important to continuously check in with ourselves before, well, literally living life. So making that a good practice, just in general, will serve us well. And I am saying that to myself as much as on this platform, because I think it is something that we continuously can work on, and we will most probably never be 100% perfect with it at all. So that might be another thing to take into consideration whenever it is that you might want to share a little bit extra within that sisterhood space. And hey, if I have my zip down toilet paper under my shoe, whatever the case might be, please spare me the embarrassment in front of the other people and let me know, because that's also a good sisterhood bit. I think it is how we deliver the message that we need to definitely consider. What's your thoughts on that, Dr. Jacalyn?
I couldn't have said that any better. I love that. If I've got spinach in my teeth, say something, please. Nobody wants to walk around and people, oh, did you see her? Oh, I thought you were my friend. Why didn't you tell me that? And I think one other thing I want to share, because I can't even believe our time has 36 minutes in already. The last thing I just want to discuss, I really want to know your thoughts on this, is when let's say I come to you and I say, Mariska, I'm going to tell you something, but please don't tell anyone else. What kind of pressure does that put on someone? And I'm going to relate it. I have a girlfriend, and this actually happened. And she said, well, I have to tell my husband. And I said, why? It has nothing to do with him. It's just about me. And she said, well, we don't keep any secrets from one another. And I respected that. So I learned a lot. And what I learned was to deal with things on my own, to look at the pros and the cons and to make a decision, because we can be influenced one way or another. And then also by looking to share something and get somebody else's opinion, we're possibly not trusting our own instincts. And that's why I think it's great to have coaches. I mean, I typically at any point have had 4 to 6 coaches helping me through things. But when we give that opportunity to a friend and then we ask them not to share the information with anyone, that puts them in a precarious place. What do you think?
I think when it goes back to, well, boundary setting, as well as understanding what choice it is that we are making. And if I want to share something with a friend and I know this friend shares all the other friends' stuff with me, the likelihood of my stuff going to all the other friends are increased. So taking into consideration whom it is that you are sharing it with, and if they say, hey, I can't keep this to myself, then it is still our choice. I can choose. Do I now want to share this with this person or not? And as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, that's potentially the one thing that I love about coaching the most. It is confidential. So whatever it is that you discuss with your coach and how you guys get things sorted out, that's between you and your coach. And in a really good coaching session, all the wisdom will in any case most likely come from you, because there's loads of questions that we ask to get that out. So I think initially when I recall myself being a lot younger in school and somebody say, don't say this to anybody, sort of going, well, do you want to share this then? Is that something that you do want to share? And as I grew older, I came to the conclusion that we want to share things because a load shared is a load halved. And sometimes that's all that they're looking for. They're looking for halving their load, but they don't want the load to be spread over the whole city. So making sure that we don't have to take it on for ourselves, so we don't have to carry their load. And we also need to respect that it's theirs. If they want to share it with anyone else, they will share it with said anyone else. That's not my privilege. It's their privilege, because it's still their thing, whatever the thing might be. So that's the principle with which I typically work within those spaces. And as you mentioned earlier, Dr. Jacalyn, if you know that it will be shared, maybe just don't share it with that person.
Exactly. Well stated. I'll just add one thing to that, which also took me into my 50s to actually grasp is if someone has news, let's say someone's getting married or they're having a baby or they got a promotion or whatever it might be, that's to me the other person's news to share. So, for example, someone might say to me, what's going on with so and so? Are they getting married? And so I know the answer to that, but it's not my place. I haven't been hired as the spokesperson for this person's future. So I'll just say, I think you have to discuss that with them, or I'm going to refer you back to them, or why don't you go and ask them? And people don't like that necessarily. But at the same time, that helps alleviate what could be conflict because people can come back to you. And this has happened to me many, many years ago. Why did you tell the person that I was engaged? That was my news to give. And I thought, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you'd want as many people to know as possible. Well, why did you think that? What made you think that I want everyone to know? And I'm not the one to deliver the information. And I thought, you know what? You are spot on. I made a mistake. And thank you for that learning. But it comes at a big price, because somebody's going to get engaged. It's not every day. And so that really resonated with me.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. It is their news to share, whether it is happy news or sad news or anything in between. It's still theirs. If they want to share it, they will share it. And if they don't, well, that's their choice too.
Definitely. And just to tie it back to the sisterhood before we say goodbye for this episode is when you feel so close to someone and you have their best interests, think about your behavior, what you're saying or what you're doing. And are you crossing a line of familiarity that just because you feel so close to them, just because you care so much about them, are you disrespecting them by saying or doing whatever it is that you might do? Because that's how, when people are so close, even in personal relationships, if you have marriages or you live with someone or, you have a life partner, and sometimes people cross the line and it's because they feel so comfortable that they think they can say whatever they want. And meanwhile, the person takes it on and it's very difficult to rebuild that trust. It's very difficult to take that hurt and translate it into something positive. So there are my thoughts for the day. Thank you so much, Mariska. What would you like to close out with before we get to your contact details?
Well, Dr. Jacalyn, I think wherever it is that you find your sisterhood and however it is that it might look, enjoy it, nurture it, and, well, also use it as a mirror to remind yourself how you show up and keep building on it. We are not perfect. Nobody is. That's why we are human and on this planet, to learn. And learning with other people, so much more fun. And in saying that, also making sure that we look at our own behaviors so that we can become even better at what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you, and who's a good client for you?
So the best way to get in touch with me, as Dr. Jacalyn said, and I'm sure I am invading her dream space, would be via my email, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively, as you can see, you can also find me on my website. And the best people to reach out is anybody that's within the specialist field moving towards leadership. So whether you are exploring that move or whether you have already moved and you're trying to figure out this new space, or if you are already in leadership and you're moving up within your leadership space, there might be different things to take into consideration within that move as well. So if you are in either one of those, you are more than welcome to contact me. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, where I am under Mariska D, just the D. I know, it's a bit weird, but it's LinkedIn.
Well, thank you, my dear friend. I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday as you're just getting your day started, and we're ending our Monday here, at least on the East Coast of the United States. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
I look forward to seeing you and all our loyal and new viewers and listeners too.
Fantastic. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.
And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Sherry, thank you for all the comments. We couldn't keep up with them. They're so powerful and meaningful. You can find them over on YouTube. For me, I just want to give a little bit of a selfish plug about one of my books, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. This book has in it 2 quizzes. It also has testimonials and case studies. I like to consider it the textbook of listening. And it's funny because today, I'm not going to give any specifics yet, but somebody that I just met, we're connected on Facebook, and she came up to me and she said, I'd like you to start teaching some of your courses to our team members. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. I said, how did you find out about what I'm doing? She said, I watched one of your shows and I saw that you write these books on listening. And she said, people don't realize how much there is to gain by learning how to listen. Everyone thinks they're a great listener and they're not. And believe me, I'm working on it every day. So you can get this book over on Amazon. You can get it on our websites, usaglobaltv.com, as well as drjacalyn.com. All right, we're going to close out right now with a message, and then we're coming back with our next show. And the message is basically for you out there who would love to have your own TV show, but you just haven't pulled the string yet. You want to do it. You don't know what to do. This is the place to come. We now have 59 different shows, and they're all hosted by people from all over the world. So if you have something you want to share, we'd love to talk to you about it. Take a look, and then we'll be breaking and coming right back with our next show.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.